Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control Solutions webinar this afternoon. For the next sort of half an hour, we'll be going through the credit control solution from Nolan Business Solutions. But just to set the scene first, I suppose, there's three different solutions available in the product at the moment. And the top one there is the Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control, which I'll be going through this afternoon. There's also the Collections Management product, which comes as an additional module within Advanced Management in Microsoft Dynamics GP. And there's a third option, which is an external system called Credit Hound. So before we go into the Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control, just to explain the differences between the three products. The Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control is a credit control system that works with all versions of Microsoft Dynamics GP. So whether you're a modular-based licensed customer, advanced management, or whether you're a business essentials customer, the credit control module will work in each one of those variants. In common with the other solutions, they all provide views of your customers' outstanding debt, allow you to put on notes and activities around the credit control process. Also allows you to create letters to send out to your customers and do runs of statements and letters that you can send to the customers to explain where they are in the credit control process and days overdue, etc. Collections Management, the Collections Management product, like I say, it's one of the additional modules of Microsoft Dynamics GP. It's not available with the Business Essentials product, so it can't be bought by those customers using that variant of Microsoft Dynamics GP. However, the functionality is fairly much the same as the Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control. A few differences which I'll talk about at the end of this presentation. The final solution is Credit Hound, and Credit Hound is actually an external solution written by the same people who that wrote Spindle. If anyone's familiar with the Spindle product, Credit Hound comes from the same stable as that. And Credit Hound is, being an external product, it enables you to manage your outstanding debts or your credit control using their products, which gives you charts and graphs and things like that around the credit control process, as well as the standard processes that you'd be looking for inside a credit control module. Today we're going to focus on the credit control, the first one on the list there. However, we will be running additional seminars for the Collections Management product for any of you that be using that product within your GP system, and we'll also be doing webinars on Credit Hound to be able to show you the functionality that's within that product. So let's go and have a look at the Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control module. So we'll go into Dynamics GP, and we're sitting here inside my GP 2011 system under the Sales tab, and the credit control windows sit down here inside the inquiry section. So here's the windows that are used in credit control. As we go through, I'll be showing you that there's actually three different types of interface that you can use as a credit controller, and really it's the one that suits your way of working and how you want to see your customers that's used amongst our customer base. So different people have different needs, different people have different preferences. So we provide all three of those solutions within the product. I'm going to start off by looking at the credit control inquiry window. So this is a Dynamics window, and what we've done here is we've taken the information that's most useful to you as a credit controller to be able to have a look at your customers. So if I select a customer from the system, and I'm going to work with breakthrough telemarketing, the kinds of information we're showing is that they're in my UK standard debtor class. I know different sites use different classes, so these might be your trade customers, they might be retail customers, might be wholesale customers, all sorts of different categorizations. So that's why we can show them to you there. And down at the bottom, we have the ability for you to select the order by clause. So you could say, I want to be able to scroll through all my customers using the class. So you see all your UK standard customers, then you move on to maybe your UK trade customers after that. Further down, we've got the primary address and telephone numbers, and we also give you a drop-down list here so that you can specify you can see different addresses that this customer might be using. So we allow you to see your ship to, your bill to, your statement to addresses down here. Telephone numbers, obviously important in being able to contact these customers. So I can see immediately if I'm talking to Breakthrough Telemarketing, I've got to speak to Nancy, and her telephone number is 555-0115. Breakthrough we have got a credit limit of £20,000, and users of GP will know that you can set up different credit limits inside GP. So you can say if the total of the balance exceeds 20,000, warn on a credit limit, or if the sum of these are different aging buckets and beyond exceeds a certain amount. So you can say warn on credit limit if the sum of the 60 to 90 day aging bucket exceeds £100. So in other words, if they owe us more than £100 and it's more than 90 days late, then we want a credit limit warning. We've got the credits available. So this is based on the value of the overdue debt minus the credit limits will give us a credit available amount, so we can easily see how close they are to their credit limit. A number of different fields here, user-defined fields, the value of unposted sales. It's also a handy number to know that these are sales on the system that haven't yet been posted through to the ledgers. So you can also take a view here on the sales that are outstanding that once they are posted through could affect this customer's debt. Payment terms, net 30, no settlement discount on here. Over on the right-hand side, we can see fields showing us the aging periods, the aging buckets that I've defined on my test system, and how much is due within each of the aging buckets. Is balance, and you'll see it also works with currencies as well. So this is a GBP customer, so it's GBP. If they were a US dollar, I'd be able to see the US dollar amount as well as the functional GBP amount based in the UK. I can see that last time we sent him an invoice was on the 31st of March. He actually paid that invoice on the 30th of April. The last time we sent him a statement was the 15th of February. And the value on that statement at that stage was the same as it is now, the 13,151. Also a little bit of history here. Highest balance this customer's ever achieved, and their average days to pay. So from a credit control point of view, all the important information that I might want to see to take a view on this customer. A couple of extra features that we've got on this window is the Go To button at the top right-hand corner up here, which allows us to have a look at the debtor profile, add in notes, and also add in activities. Also down at the bottom left-hand side, we've got the ability to create customer letters on the system. Right, so let's go and have a look at the notes section. So as we're on this window with Breakthrough Telemarketing, we want to have a look. We want to create a note against this customer. So if I click on the Notes button, it opens up a credit control notes area here, and I can create a new note. So I can say here that I called Nancy, who was not available. On saving that note, it's logged inside the system here with a created date and time, and also a who created that note. So that note's logged in the system. We'll always know who made that note and when they made it. We have different types of customers, I guess, using this module, and I know some customers prefer to put on a top-level note that you can double-click on and keep on adding notes within that one note entry. Other customers prefer to create a new note for every interaction with the customer. Both are absolutely possible, and the system will cater for both. So there's a note on the system. We'll call Nancy, who's not available. You can also have a look at activities, whereby I can create an activity in the same sort of way on the system. So maybe I want to create myself a task to call Nancy back here. So call Nancy back. And down at the bottom here, I can set myself a reminder to call her back. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put today's date in here so that we can see where it comes up on the rest of GP to remind us. So I'll put in here, I was told that Nancy would be back at 1,500 pounds. So I've created the task to do that. Closing this window, doing a refresh, I can see that on the system. I can always go back and edit it inside here, and you can see there's the credit control activity, and there's also the task, which is pending for us to call Nancy back. Within standard GP on the home page, and if I just go to the home page, we have an area where I've got tasks that come up on my home page to remind me. So I was told that Nancy will be back at 3 o'clock is the task that's come up, and I can click on that, and I can see that is the task that has been I've just put onto the system. And using the link, I can then use that to link back to the control activity on the system to see that I needed to call Nancy back. So you don't have to be inside credit control all the time to see the tasks. Those will come up automatically for you in the task section of your home page. Going back into the sales section, and going back to here, once I've marked this task as completed, that then disappears off my home page list. Right, so back on the credit control inquiry window, if I want to have a look at the transactions that make up the outstanding debt here, I can either click on the amount button here, the amount link here, which will take me down to see all transactions, or I can click on an individual aging bucket, it will take me down to see the transactions that make up that amount. Let's drill that down into this window, and I can see all the transactions for breakthrough telemarketing. And this is a slightly different window to the standard inquiry window on GP, where we can see the invoice amount remaining on the system. So we can see this invoice here for 2130 at the bottom has been fully paid. These ones here are outstanding ones. And we can set on this window various statuses if we want to say what the status of those particular invoices are. So that status allows you to categorize that. The formats or the wording of the status, that's user defined. You can set that up depending on your site when you install the system. So you could set statuses OK, being chased, under dispute, however you want those statuses set up. In the same way as we could put a note and activity against a customer, you can also put a note and activity against an individual transaction. So if I've got sales transaction 1016 here that I want to make a particular activity against, I can go into the activities, create a new one, and you'll see down at the bottom it links it to document SLS 1016. So if I create here a task to say chase sales on why this invoice is disputed, then later on in the system, when I'm looking at that activity, I can have a look at it, and I can also drill down to the invoice itself on the system and have a look at the details around that invoice. So I can see that the salesperson here is Francine, so she's the one that I need to go and chase. I can also create notes against these invoices by clicking on the little information button here. Create a new note. Talked to Francine, who says that it should be paid. And again, that's saved with the date and time, the user's name, the details, and a link across to that document. Okay, the final item on this screen that I want to show you in working through credit control here is that there's the ability to create customer letters. So if I needed to, if I've just spoken to Nancy here and she would like a statement and a letter, I can click on the customer letters area and I can say, right, I'm going to print her debtor letter number 1. And here's the standard letter that comes out of the box. Obviously, you can customize these letters to bring in logos, etc. But we can see the overdue amount is 13,000, and it's a nice friendly letter saying, with reference to the following transactions, we're not aware of any queries. Therefore, we believe the amount overdue has been overlooked. So here's a nice little statement of the outstanding transactions, and we're saying yours faithfully on behalf of. So nice friendly letter that we've been able to put onto there. We actually provide, however, 10 letters, and the letters, the standard letters that come out of the box. If I print out letter number 5 here, you'll see that that's more of a final notice type letter, where we can show the same details, but this time it's a little bit further down the line with different wording. So that's the customer letters you can print at the time on an ad hoc basis at the time you're on the screen talking to the customer. So that's view number 1 of your customers. And once I've finished with breakthrough marketing, I can move on to my next customer my next customer, my next customer, and move through my customers like that. When I talked about notes and activities before, I didn't mention the debtor profile, and this is the second view that we have of our customers. So if I click on debtor profile, we open up more of a profile type window. So as we were discussing the design of our credit control module, the feedback we got from customers was that the dexterity screen's fine, it's functional, but perhaps we need something a little bit more information on, a little bit better laid out. So this window gives us that functionality, and you can see that the information that you saw on the previous window is all here, but it's laid out slightly differently. We can also see those notes I put on. So the note saying we called Nancy who wasn't available, and we talked to Francine about who says that it should be paid. We can see those there. We can add notes from here. We can also see the activities that are on this customer. So I was told that Nancy would be back at 3 o'clock, and we add a task as well to chase the sales on why this invoice is disputed. And again, the ability to add activities along here. Scrolling down a bit, a couple of charts to show the value of the sales in the last 12 months, and also the payments. So visual clues on being able to see the activity that you have with this customer. Using this screen then, what we're able to do is scroll through our customers in the same way that we scroll through on the dexterity screen to go and chase the outstanding debt on these ones. Right, so let me close the credit control inquiry window, and we'll have a look at some of the other options that we have. We've got the ability to, from the inquiry window, to drill down to the transaction inquiry in standard Great Plains or GP functionality. You can also go directly to the transaction inquiry and have a look at the transactions for that customer through that inquiry window there. And it's the same sort of functionality as you have in the standard, where you've got include work open history, except we've got the added information here, being able to see a bit more detail about the customer, the parent customer, the status, etc. So a lot more information on those windows should you need it. We also have a customer turnover inquiry. Within the turnover inquiry, what we're able to do here is show the credit control the current year and prior year turnover by month. This might be useful in being able to work out whether this customer has perhaps got a steady buying pattern and has bought something extraordinary, and that's why it's over the credit limits at this point. Be able to judge how the customer normally spends money with us. If I just go back to 2012, I hit the redisplay button. So 2013, we can see that's where we started trading with this customer in 2013. So those are all the amounts that this customer spent with us year on year. If we go to 2014, you'll see that early months of 2014 a bit more, and those from the previous year were there. So we can do comparisons year on year against the customer. So a little handy turnover inquiry to be able to judge the kinds of volumes that we do with this customer. We're also able to look up, particularly by check number, what we've found with users of GP. Sometimes a customer will say, I've paid on check number such and such. By entering that check number into this check inquiry, this will go around the system and take a look at anywhere within any cash receipts that number appears, to maybe help identify if that receipt has been misallocated against another customer. And down at the bottom, we've got a view on all my open activities. So you can see here, there's the activities that I've actually got outstanding at the moment in my credit control process. So I need to phone Cheryl, I need to phone CompuCenter, I need to phone Nancy, etc. Okay, so I mentioned that there were 3 views of customers and of the debt, and we've looked at the dynamic standard window. We looked at the data summary window. I want to just show you now the list windows here across on the left-hand side. So as part of installing the Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control, you'll get 2 lists appearing on your system. You've got credit control customers, and what this list is showing us is a list of customers, their class, their contact addresses, and down at the bottom here is the information that you might want to see as a credit controller. So your aging buckets, your current balance, unposted sales, credit limit. So again, just a different view of being able to see it. What's really nice about these windows is that I can create customized versions of these. So I can just go and have a look at my own customers, of which there are 9, and it's showing me these because I've filtered these where the class contains UK. So it's showing me all my UK standard customers. So I can go through, here's breakthrough telemarketing, so it's Nancy, I can see, and you can see I've sent a letter to Nancy today. So those are the 2 letters I sent to Nancy. I can also drill down using this to the view, the notes and the activities that I've got against Nancy. So that all links together with the credit control module. I can also select individual customers from this list, and I can go and print statements for them. So I can say I need to print a standard GP statement for breakthrough telemarketing, and there's the standard blank GP statement that I'll be sending to Nancy. You could also do multiple statements. So if I decide I want to send it to breakthrough telemarketing, in DEFRA, if I tick both of those items on this list and set print statements, you'll see I've now got 2 pages. The first statement's going to breakthrough telemarketing, and the second statement is going through to the Department of Environmental and Rural Affairs. So it's not just single actions through these windows. You can do multiple actions. You can apply holds. You can you can filter the customers. You can exclude active customers. You can also from here put on payments and also put on activities and go to areas of the system and send to Excel. So a lot of different options that you have from these windows. Again, all customizable. If any of you have used these list controls, you'll know that you can change the ribbon at the top, you can change the filtering, and you can change the columns also that you see down here on the system. What I could also do is I can filter my customers not only by the filters here, but I can go into the system and say, I know that I've got a customer called Breakthrough. They're in marketing, so let me just type in marketing here. Do a find, and it actually comes back with 6 records. Breakthrough telemarketing, it's found, because direct marketers, Lawrence telemarketing, Octagon marketing. It's also brought up Red Food Market and Watford Cash Converters. I wonder why that is. It's because they're in Market Street in Watford. So a nice way of being able to find customers by just entering a bit of text that appears somewhere in that customer's record. The final piece that I want to just talk about as far as the credit control module goes is that we have the ability to print out ranges of letters on the system. So this is a setup window pretty similar to what you'd know and see if you went into the statement entry window. And I can set up customer letters that I print off on a weekly or a monthly basis, and it's only going to print letters to customers who have either changed level or something happened within the credit control record. So it might be that it'll print out all the letters for customers who are 30 days overdue, and then next time I print it, it won't print those again, but it will print them again once that customer moves from the 30 to the 60-day overdue bucket. So you can set this window up to manage that letter printing facility, to be able to send out your customers those chase letters that we saw earlier with the statement on it. So that's Nolan Business Solutions Credit Control in a nutshell, really based on the inquiries down here and the three separate options of being able to use the system in a way that suits you as a credit controller. Being able to put notes on the system, create yourself activities, follow up those activities by seeing them in your task lists or your open activity lists, mark them as closed once they're finished, and being able to report on those customers. Right, if anybody's got any questions or any comments, anything that we need to follow up on, please, please send emails asking those questions either to Steph or myself or sales@nolanbusinesssolutions.com. We'll be happy to answer your questions from there. And please look out for the other webinars where we'll be discussing the collections management product and the Credit Hound product, should those also be of interest to you. So thanks very much for your time. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session.